And some degree of coordination. Witnesses earlier described helicopters. Witnesses described low-flying aircraft. I was taken up
to stand trial on criminal charges in the United States, and the strikes overnight were deployed to, quote, protect and defend those executing the arrest warrant.
And submarines, we're trying to slip it past the Navy. This thing's heating up.
You know, I think people overstate that. First of all, it was a fake Russian oil tanker. They basically tried to pretend to be a Russian oil tanker.
The news is developing at a rapid pace, both at home and abroad. Democrats on Capitol Hill, they're stuck in 2021. Today, they commemorated the January.
Affirms its solidarity with the Venezuelan people. Iran and its supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, which also has a long history of conflict with the U.S.
Before the rest of the government was ready for that to happen. So Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche of the Justice Department have been annoyed with Patel for a long time, although they've publicly denied it when others.
Together, maybe they don't wash their hands. They got to realize that flu spreads on surfaces. You got to be on the lookout for the symptoms you're now showing, cough, fever. Suddenly, they used to
have less than 5 minutes to give a go, no-go decision. So this is something that's been planned for a while, but the decision was made as soon as we saw an opportunity to go in.
Would literally die of starvation. What happens today, where there is more mobility, is that people just leave.
Leaders in Venezuela now sounding defiant, at least publicly. There's the question of if and when we could see even more of a military escalation. President Trump says he is not ruling out putting troops on the
specific, and it boils down to the perspective of the law enforcement officer that used the deadly force.
It's on the ground trying to do what the president's goal is to do, and that is to clean up illegal immigration, violent, worst of the worst out of the country first. ICE centers there.
Secretary of its National Security Council responding to Trump in a post of his own saying, quote, Trump should know that American interference in this internal issue is Venezuela's largest port. And this is something President Trump has been threatening for months. It started with the drone strikes on the alleged drug boats in the Caribbean and the East.
The ICE officer who seems to have shot her in self-defense. It is hard to believe he is alive, but is now recovering in the hospital. The situation is being studied in it.
For a long time, I haven't left anything but Chavez and Maduro. So I'm beyond grateful. I mean, I think I'm so
deeply fragmented after years of war. Multiple armed groups, foreign intelligence services, and regional powers continue to compete for influence within.
I've learned a lot. You've had some fantastic guests. First, let's start with Putin. So it's a mixed bag for Putin, because on the one hand, he's seen another $1 billion. So when you look at $400 million for PPP loans, that's peanuts compared to what we're seeing in Minnesota. And this has been going on for years. So trying to
championed and spearheaded this letter, and we have over 100 mayors now that are on this letter. Within the last 3 months, this has really gone downhill. And Brian, if we do the quick math, in an
election, that's not who I am. He's also later in the deposition, it turns from the political to the personal. He's asked about his own safety and whether or not he fears.
That is really the lifeblood for Maduro and his regime. That's their ATM, their cash cow that's keeping them in power, keeps their their repressive.
But we are tough. We are strong. We are resilient. We'll get knocked down 7 times, but we get back up.
And he says he stands by them and wants to protect all law enforcement officers from any kind of violence and hate. So that is the initial reaction.
We're down and power outages, tens of thousands of power outages plaguing Northern California, the Bay Area. Many people there woke up in the dark. And this is not over.
President Trump drew a pretty strong red line about the protests there.
Yes, there's no doubt that Ayatollah was watching this as well, as would the senior.
The regime of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, which the U.S. administration views as illegitimate. So right now,
and those trying to hide. The U.S. State Department said, quote,
The assault on the injured with tear gas and live ammunition is a blatant crime.
Involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere.
New questions and new criticism about the justification for the attack.
Goes into more detail in this interview in the Times about it, and she says that in her recollection, President Trump said to her that one of the reasons for his opposition to the release of these
the real question is exactly when and how did this happen? Now, based on the description that we got from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Kane, on Saturday, it seems as if this exchange
because they are so furious about the never-ending waste, fraud, and abuse of their hard-earned money going to foreigners and to foreign wars, end quote. So let's get off the sideline
of what could come next, because so many questions are unanswered.
Yeah, I mean, let's go through what we know has happened so far. Since about 1 a.m. local time, and the
doses skyrocketed to 280% in my own district. And the majority of American fentanyl overdoses and deaths come from Mexico. Those are the
leader Nicolas Maduro to make concessions. Maduro now says he's open to resuming talks with the White House.
If they want to seriously discuss an agreement.
Imagine, if a U.S. president was kidnapped by another country, what would the reaction be, right? Like, it's absolutely despicable. But I think at the end of the day,
a merchant ship, MT Sofia, and another ship, MT Bella 1, which is believed to be a Russian oil tanker in the northern Atlantic around the Iceland and
Supreme Leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And this is all because of deteriorating economic conditions, particularly since the 12-day war with Israel this summer.
I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice.
Okay, we'll do whatever you need.
Maduro wanted to kill her, and she fought and fought and fought. And so now it's, we've got to bring it to a transition. Do we get liberty and freedom?
A year ago tonight, Los Angeles was burning. Tonight, our promise to go back and what we discovered on the very street where we reported from 1 year ago. It is
to become the Attorney General twice, but that opinion basically says even if an arrest violates some of the principles or tenets of international law, it doesn't mean